Hey everyone, before we get this Rock N Pod recap episode started, I just want to give a quick shout out to the podcasters that had us appear as guests on their podcast. So, real quick, shout out to Kiss FAQ, Rock Strikes 10, Classic Rock Drops, and Mr. Ken Mills for having me on the Pop Fun Size mini podcast. Just a quick shout out to all those guys who had us appear on their shows while we were at Rock N Pod. Thank you guys so much. Hi, I'm Greg. I'm the lead singer for Lipstick.
I'm Steve. I'm the bassist.
And welcome to the Lift It panel. We're doing another special episode.
Special episode!
Not because Steve is going to be out of town a lot or we're busy or anything, but because we want to do something special. That's totally the reason for it. Right, Steve?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Plausible untruths.
So we're doing a special Rock N Pod recap episode.
Rock N Pod recap episode!
It's not coming out immediately after Rock N Pod because so many people told me they were interested in our Loudness Disillusion episode, and I told them that was the next one coming out, so I'm going to keep that promise.
Also, we have to edit this.
Yeah, damn straight.
By we, I mean Greg. I'll be out of town.
Yeah, so I've got to do all the editing on the episode, edit out all the awkward bits and things we're not legally allowed to say. You know, whatever commentary about Vinnie Vincent we're not allowed to talk about.
There's things we're not allowed to say about Vinnie Vincent. I thought this was America.
I thought so too.
Oh well. It was nice while it lasted, I guess, thinking it was America.
Well, what? Your hometown has a tank now, so we've gone full police state at this point.
That's not even my hometown. That's the 3,000 person town next to my hometown.
No, whatever. Close enough for rock and roll.
Cassville can't afford a tank.
So yeah, Rock N Pod, tangents.
Why don't you tell us what Rock N Pod is and or was, Greg?
Rock N Pod, it's like, so you know all those nerdy anime conventions that we've gone to?
Yeah!
This is like that, but for rock bands. So if you're really into glam rock...
If you're a nerdy rock band nerd.
Right, then this is perfect for you. So, for those who don't know...
You can finally go listen to, a bunch of cock rock without getting a wedgie from the jocks.
Right. I mean, but you know what's weird? A lot of these guys were probably the ones giving wedgies back when they were in high school.
Right.
So... Rock N Pod, it's a one-day, mini music convention. We're basically just a whole bunch of...
Wasn't it spread across 3 days this year, though?
Well, but the actual event itself, the actual con. There was a pre-party and stuff.
There was stuff today, too, right? The day after?
There was?
Weren't people asking us yesterday if we were going to the stuff today?
I thought the stuff they were talking about was the stuff the post-party. There was the Jam and the Denman show at the basement. I don't know. We're really, as you can see, we're totally in the loop. Technically, I was on staff for this convention, and I have no idea what was going on for most of it. But the basic gimmick is a bunch of rockers and podcasters, specifically rock podcasters, get together and do a whole bunch, it's a giant networking event and a chance for you to buy some cool merchandise and meet some of your favorite rock stars of yesteryear. So if you are super into hair metal and bands that influenced hair metal, this is your convention.
Or if you just really need another chance to look for that one rare Kiss action figure you missed out on.
Right. A lot of Kiss at this expo. A lot of Kiss. Basically, I think that's kind of the marker. Everyone who's into those hair bands is a Kiss fan. I think that's just bare minimum. Not every Kiss fan is into hair bands, but if you're into hair metal, you like Kiss. I've noticed that seems to be a pretty true statement. But it was mainly divided into 2 nights. There was the pre-party on Friday and the actual event on Saturday. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the pre-party because Steve wasn't there.
Sorry, one of my other bands got a show.
Yeah, he got booked last minute, and
I was playing with internet icon Goat and Your Mom.
Yeah, didn't he strip completely naked at your show?
No, he didn't strip completely naked. He was down to his flag and his thong.
All right, so
which is his look.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I don't even know who this guy is. I don't live on the internet as much as you do.
Just picture a Texan doing Texas-style Southern rock, mostly naked and clipping things to his genitals.
It sounds like that would do well on the internet.
He both drew the entire crowd and cleared the room.
That's pretty impressive.
Right?
Yeah, so that's what Steve did Friday night. What I did Friday night was I went to the Rock N Pod pre-party. which was pretty cool. There was it was a 4-band bill, so classic Nashville 4-band bill. Try to get as much draw as possible. Headliner got a little bit screwed over with time slots, and then a lot of people left. Like, oh, I got work, and it's getting kind of late.
I got to wake up early for Rock N Pod tomorrow.
Yeah, but hey, I stayed till the end, and it was pretty cool. So opened up with Ron Keel from the band Keel and Steeler. I'm not super familiar with his work. I know he did like kind of your standard 80s hair metal stuff back in the day. I know the song "The Right to Rock" was minor hit, and he covered the "Because the Night" song that Springsteen wrote. So he's been doing country for the last few years and did a solo acoustic set, and it was pretty solid.
Was it country songs, or did you go back and do his 80s stuff?
It was his 80s stuff acoustic, and of course he did "Because the Night," and then Greg Mangus came up to me and was like, "This guy's a good songwriter," and I don't know whether Greg Mangus was being sarcastic or not. It's hard to read my buddy Greg sometimes.
This guy's a good songwriter. Shots for everybody.
But then speaking of Greg Mangus, he went on next, and his backing band is a bunch of Nashville dudes that I know and have played with. So like, oh yeah, I know everyone on that stage and I've jammed with them. And they did classic rock covers, but because they're Nashville guys, they do it way better than most people. So it was a really good set. And then Tora Tora was next, and they're a more obscure 80s hair band. They did pretty well. I don't really know their music that well and am not super into them, but hey.
I heard more Tora Tora references this weekend than probably the last 3 years combined.
Well, yeah, me too. And I'm the one who's familiar with that music. Highlight of the set was the song "Guilty," I think. I'm not super familiar with their music. I listened to one of their albums at work the day of, and it didn't really resonate with me. They're another one of those hair bands where I've just heard people talk about, have heard a couple songs, and it's solidly okay. Doesn't blow me away, but not bad either. It's one of those bands that just might take time to grow on me. Highlight of the night was definitely Angel, or rather Punky and Frank from Angel with the Angel logo behind them, but specifically not Angel because it's not the full Angel lineup. So it's the two main guys from Angel with the Angel logo, but letting you know it's not Angel, probably for legal reasons.
Wait, what?
Right. So the singer and the guitar player from Angel, the two most famous members, with them and the keyboard player. Keyboard player is actually pretty famous and is like a super like billionaire for his like slot machine inventions. Well, yeah, I guess the thing, I was talking with the bassist from Not Angel when I was driving him to the airport.
Nangel, as it were.
And he was telling me, it's well known, but he was regaling the story to me anyway. I guess the keyboards from Angel invented these slot machines that had like harmonic sounds with each other. Because it used to be slot machines would all be at different pitches and different frequencies, and it would make it very dissonant when you were in a casino. It would make you not want to gamble because it would just sound terrible. So he invented this way where the different slot machines would harmonize with each other and would be pleasing to the ears, so you would want to spend more time in the casino.
Nobody thought of the idea of making slot machines tuned before that?
I mean, well, think about it. This was the 70s. There was room for growth and improvement.
I mean, gambling's been around for a while, though, you guys.
Well, hey, it took someone to think of it, and he made a lot of money off it, so good for him.
I guess, yeah.
But yeah, so
that just seems like a really obvious thing if you've got like engineers specifically constructing your casinos to be death traps where you go gamble until you keel over from exhaustion. You'd think they'd have figured out, like, hey, there's a thing that's really unpleasant about being in here and makes me want to leave. Let's fix that. Just like walking in, they're loud.
He was the guy who thought of it. Maybe it took a musician who's like, this is so dissonant. Like, a guy who plays keyboards was really into harmony, and hey, it worked out well for him, so good for him.
I guess,
but
yeah.
He wasn't there. He's like, no, I'm not going to slum in clubs. I'm a millionaire. I'm not going to play keys for my nerdy glam progressive rock band from the 70s. Yeah, so for those not familiar with Angel, they're progressive glam, which is a thing.
Proglam, as it were.
And I'm going to be honest, they sounded fantastic. I have a couple of their CDs, and I thought, yeah, they're pretty good. They're like high B's, A minus albums where I'm just like, yeah, they're really good, but they were so much better live than I expected them to be. They were way heavier than they were on the recordings. And the singer, Frank, who is, in his 60s, sounds better than he's ever sounded. Full voiced, like Bruce Dickinson, but with more power behind his vocals. And I was really impressed because I wasn't expecting them to be that good. And I told Frank after the show, like, your biology does not make sense. You should not sound this good. It doesn't make any sense how a singer at that age can sound that good vocally. And he was doing like extra falsetto, like wails. Like we're talking like those 80s hair metal. Wah! Like he did all that stuff throughout the entire set and it sounded amazing. And I could not figure that out.
Well, the question is he the sort of vocalist who, just for the last 40 years has been doing 30 minutes of practice and warm-ups every day and taking care of his voice and eating the correct diet?
I mean,
or is he the guy who's done all the drugs?
I think he's one of the guys who took care of it because he's in great shape. He looks healthy. Was on the ball, quick-witted, smart, super friendly. He played with Billy Morris played with him, and so we got to bond over talking about Billy a little bit. And Billy said to say hi to him, so it was cool to bond over sharing the same guitar player. But the most glam moment of the night was freaking Punky Meadows, who is just a glam motherfucker, just wearing these weird sparkly outfits.
He was very shiny.
He was, yeah. You saw him at the expo. He was still extremely shiny.
Shiny man.
Where the big hit of Angel is this like 8-minute prog song called Tower, which is all about like riding to the tower on your white horse with your sword by your side, and it has this like long keyboard intro. It's nerdy as hell and also glam, and it's awesome. And during the song, his sparkly long blue scarf with like glitter looked like something straight out of the movie Frozen gets caught in his guitar strings, and he messes up the song because he can't pluck the strings because the scarf is stuck in it. And I'm like, that is so glam rock.
I glammed too hard. I hurt something.
Like once your outfit gets in the way of your instrument, that is doing glam rock properly. But that's also why you have two guitars, because the other guy picked up the slack.
You have two guitars, not because, one guy might flake out, but because one guy might hurt himself on his costume.
But yeah, it was an awesome set. I liked Angel a pretty decent amount before then, but they really impressed me. It was really, really good. I can't stress how good it was and how impressed I was, and I'll say this again. I said it off mic, I'll say it on mic. All the times the members of KISS shit on Angel for being a crappy band, like, dude, put Paul Stanley next to Frank Domino any day of the week. Like, Frank can outsing Paul, and those guys were contemporaries putting out albums at the same time. Yes, I know KISS made way more money and is playing bigger venues, but side by side as a vocalist, like, they should not be throwing that shade. But yeah, let's talk about the part you were there for, Steve.
Hey!
Let's talk about the expo itself. I got there bright and early, started networking with people and saying hi to the fellow podcasters I knew, but then I had to ditch the expo because I had to drive Steve, the bassist from Angel. I know a lot of bassists named Steve, and they're all super nice and friendly. What's up with that? Yeah, I had to drive him to the airport, and so I missed a couple hours of the convention. That's right when...
That's right about when I staggered.
Right, so you talk for a little bit about...
After a long night of hanging out with Goat and your mom. So I wandered in right about then, and then being the awkward, introverted nerd, I looked around and said, who do I know here? And
I don't want to introduce myself to new people.
And do I recognize any of their faces? So then I bought myself some nachos and a couple beers. And that was when Greg showed up.
Yeah. So I showed up when Steve was in line to be interviewed for a KISS documentary about KISS fans. I'm like, wait, do you even like KISS? I know you've done like 15 KISS episodes or whatever.
Look, I've listened to 15 KISS albums, which is more albums than I've listened to for all of my favorite bands.
Oh, so yeah, that's pretty impressive. Dive into a catalog. I don't know how many KISS albums you've actually listened to. I'm not keeping track.
I mean, are we counting the solo albums?
Yeah, let's count those.
I mean, it's getting up towards like a dozen.
Yeah, the Torah of the first 6 plus Alive, that's 7. Dynasty's 8, and then the 4 solos, that'll give you 12. count Alive 2 and Killer. Yeah, so like, 15.
Well, I didn't listen to all of Alive 2, just the new tracks.
Well, the rest of it sucks.
All right, so over a dozen tracks. I mean, Pain only put out 3 albums and an EP, and Our Lady Peace only has about 6 or 7 albums right now, and Smashing Pumpkins only have about a dozen total, so yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, you're pretty qualified to talk about Kiss.
Probably the single band that I've listened to the most albums of, now that I think of it.
I'm sorry.
And that's weird.
Sorry to do that to you.
So yeah, I was interviewed as a fan about for this Kiss documentary, where they asked all kinds of hard-hitting questions like, how many times have you seen Kiss live? 0. Like, when did you start listening to Kiss? January. I think they appreciated it though, because that was a completely different perspective than everybody else being like, yeah, I got a copy of Kiss Alive the summer that it came out, and I've been listening ever since then. I've been having 14 Kiss cruises.
There haven't even been 14 Kiss cruises.
That's how much I loved it. I bought 2 tickets each.
Yeah, and then I ended up being interviewed for it too. Kevin Williams, the man, the myth, the legend from the rock band The Swear. He was helping out Joe from Podcast Rock City with filming that. So that was cool. He and I got to geek out over Japanese metal over the weekend and complain about Anime Con kids only listening to whatever songs were from anime soundtracks. Even though those songs are still good, that was where Kevin and I disagreed. Yeah, because look, like, my thing is like, hey, that's a great way to be introduced to bands. And I've found a lot of great bands through anime soundtracks, but there's so much great music that has nothing to do with anime, like Passion Rose. Just like, all right, it's like Japanese Motley Crue. This is sick. They've never been on an anime soundtrack to my knowledge, but just like a cool band. So I don't know. I enjoyed talking with him. Got to hang out with Joe from Podcast Rock City and Mr. Julian Gill, who has been on 900 of our episodes.
Yep.
So that was cool to hang out with him. Met so many podcasters, and I definitely will not be able to
name them all.
I have like 21 business cards to go through, and I have to go and thank everybody and add everyone on Facebook and start booking a bunch of episodes. So I'm only going to mention the guys I knew beforehand, so that way someone doesn't get upset like, what, you didn't mention my show? So I'm just I'll give a shout out to Julian, to Joe, and of course to Mr. Ken Mills, the Podfather. I'm looking forward to listening to the Monkees' first album and you yelling at me for not knowing it.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to listen to it too, aren't I?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I expect I know most of the cuts from it, because I'm an old school pop guy, so I probably know, if it's a 10-song album, I probably know like 5 or 6 of the cuts. And I'm like, yeah, this is a solid pop album. They sounded good vocally, and those studio hired guns sounded good. I have no bias against this and don't care that they were studio hired guns. It's fun pop.
Woo!
It's probably going to be my analysis of it.
Right about in this point in the day was when the infection that I apparently contracted from a tetanus shot the previous day started to kick in, and I started to get loopy.
Yeah, so Steve basically let me do all the heavy lifting of talking with people, introducing us, pitching the band and the podcast, and
I carried around some stickers and CDs.
Yeah, but it was cool seeing a lot of our friends there. We got to see Toddzilla there,
and I also talked to the dude in the Neurosis shirt.
You did talk to the guy in the Neurosis shirt. Yeah, I got to see Toddzilla and Abby Costello. Fun, always great seeing them. Got to see the guys in Denman.
I bought a Denman CD.
Yeah, well, you did buy a Denman CD. But yeah, it was fun seeing the Denman guys. Let's see, we also got to see the guys from Stars, and I got to compliment Joe on having the greatest mustache in rock.
He had a tremendous mustache.
And the thing is, he had that back in the 70s, so just imagine like a guy with long hair and that twirly mustache and just this gold spandex outfit, and that's the drummer of your glam band.
Honestly, I'm more impressed with a dude keeping his mustache in good shape since the 70s than a guy keeping his voice in good shape since then.
Yeah, but
anybody can do vocal exercises every day. Not everybody can keep a good mustache going.
What I love most about my interaction with Joe from Stars is that he wanted a selfie with me. Like, I didn't take selfies with any of the rock stars at the event because I either A, knew them, or B, just don't care because I don't generally take selfies.
Also, you're kind of short, so it's hard for you to get the camera far enough away.
But, I mean, that is so flattering when, like, one of your rock heroes thinks you look cool enough and wants to take a selfie with you.
Yeah.
Because, I was rocking the top hat and my purple bottle glasses, so leather pants. It was a fun time. I got to meet Mike Viscara from Loudness, and then realized I don't really know anything about his personality and have nothing interesting to say, so I just kind of talked to him about, like, dudes he worked with and about Disney metal. Because I'm like, shoot, I don't have an interesting anecdote. I don't know what bands you listen to. I'm only familiar with your hits.
I really appreciate the work done by your coworkers.
I mean, look, he's a great vocalist. I love albums he did with Loudness, and I like his metal stuff. He's been doing metal covers of anime theme songs.
Yeah.
So, and like, he's a great singer. It just... it's like...
Weren't you literally just minutes ago shitting on the kids who only listen to the anime metal songs?
But, no, here...
No, I'm just messing with you.
Yeah, but, like, I listen to his, like, stuff with other bands he's done. I've listened to his stuff with his old metal band, Obsession. So, like, I know his work, but I don't know his personality. And that's the thing. When you meet a rock star, everyone's gonna be like, I love your albums. And everyone says the same thing, like, hey, that one famous record you did, it was great. And I'm sure they're sick of hearing that same thing over and over again. So whenever I meet a rock star, I try to have something interesting to talk about them with. Like,
Your autobiography was entertaining.
No, I'll be like, hey.
Needs more drugs.
I'll say, like, look, if you're going to Cleveland, go to this delicatessen. It's delicious. I'll talk about sandwiches with rock stars. Or when I met one of the guys from Deep Purple, we talked about Naruto for like an hour.
Makes sense.
Look, like, friendship is important. So... But I didn't know what Mike was into, so I had nothing to say. Like, hey, Chala Head Chalat's cool, right? Am I right? We both covered that song. You're a better singer than me, so you did a better job.
Nerd.
What else was I gonna say? What else could I have said to the dude?
I don't know. I don't know pretty much anything about him at all.
Like,
could have recommended him sandwich places in Nashville since he's here.
I could have, but the thing is, Nashville doesn't have that great of sandwich places.
It's got hot chicken.
Yeah, I don't really like hot chicken. Hey, here's this food I don't really like. Check it out. It's okay, but all right. Any other interesting anecdotes about Rock N Pod? We went through the rock stars that were there. We went through the podcasters that were there without going through everybody.
I think we ended up talking to everybody except for the new metal podcast, I think.
Yeah, we did make a point of stopping at every podcasting booth, so that was really important and cool to do.
Sorry, new metal guys. I was going to drag Greg to you, but right about then was when I was like, no, man, I'm out of it. My entire body hurts, especially my gums for some reason. Apparently that's a thing. I'm going to go home and fall unconscious.
Yeah.
Womp womp.
Womp womp. But yeah, I would say it was a really fun event. I enjoyed it a lot. As someone who has been burnt out on conventions from all the bullshit behind it, it's very refreshing that this was a good convention. It was great. And man, shout out to the Decibel Geek guys. Chris and Aaron put on an amazing rock and roll party. You guys just knocked it out of the park. You made someone who is burnt out on convention bullshit actually enjoy a convention. Because I'm going to be honest,
Good work.
I pretty much hate conventions. This was a good one. I had a lot of fun, met some cool people, and got to, have a rock and roll party. So good job, guys. You did it right. I would say the coolest bit was looking at the podcasting booths, and in one booth, Stars was being interviewed right next to another booth where Angel was being interviewed. I'm like, you know what? This is pretty cool. The two big, obscure glam bands of the 70s, slumming it with some podcasters. That was pretty rad. But, that's the epitome of what it is. It's, all these old school rock nerds who are like, no, I'm telling you, this obscure glam band from the 70s is totally rad. You should check them out. That was pretty fun. And it was nice that most of the people there, like, understood the bands I was talking about. Because when I go and talk to other people, they're like, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. Progressive glam. That can't be a real thing.
Every day of my life.
All right, well, that is our Rock N Pod wrap-up. Any other thoughts, Steve?
No, not particularly.
All right, well, that's it. Find us at lipstickgeneration.com. Buy a CD or t-shirt, please. Probably won't. Okay, bye.